It will be a great pleasure to bring on board a very dear friend of mine, Rajiv Rajgopal, Managing Director with the Akzo Nobel India. Rajiv, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Joining us on a morning, chilly morning in Gurgaon, or it's still manageable?
No, it is getting a bit chilly in the morning, and wonderful to be back on your show. And good morning to all the viewers.
I've been told by analysts who track the paint sector that after a warm Diwali, it has been a chilly November and December trends for the paint industry are not looking all that encouraging. Is it true that there is a slowdown which is now visible?
So, well, Nikunj, I think to answer that question, I think first, Diwali was a bit muted compared to a normal Diwali, primarily because of monsoons, etc., which was a bit unseasonal, particularly when it got extended in parts of India to the second and third week. That said, look, yes, I mean, the challenge for the industry is that you're coming out of very heady growths, and people normally look at the percent growth and then don't look at in terms of what you're adding in terms of absolute. So, yes, there would be a bit of sort of correction, but I don't think structurally anything is really changing. Yes, there is a bit of challenge in, for example, let me break it into two parts. First, from our paints part, which constitutes about 67% of our portfolio. If you look at it both from an industry and our perspective, one of the challenges I see is that, look, the rate of growth in rural has slightly sort of come down. I guess it's to do with the cost of inflation and a few other things. And I do think it's taking a bit of time to really get back to the strong growths that we used to see earlier. In the urban centers, again, it's slightly varied. If you look at our premium consumers, there's no dearth of consumption there. I mean, people like yourselves and most people who watch your channel, if they want to paint a home, they find an occasion, and that's continuing. However, if you look at the belly of the market, which is the mass, etc., we are seeing a bit of a challenge there. So that's on the paint side. On the coating side, I would again say it's a mixed bag. Automotive continues to do fairly well for us, but yes, we are seeing some, a bit of challenges in some of the segments.
Oil prices are manageable. Things on the commodity front are looking upbeat. A lot of paint companies had passed on partial cost impact to their customers. Could the reverse now happen that commodity prices are down, but you are unlikely to cut the costs?
So, Nikunj, I think to be fair, it will be very difficult immediately to start passing because I don't think we've entirely recovered the cost of the inflation, particularly from this year point of view. So we are still lagging a little. And to my mind, I think given that the vagaries of the external environment, it's too early for us to take an assumption that this is structurally coming down. Yes, we are seeing the crude is coming down, but remember there are two variables again. There's crude and there is the dollar. So most of us buy in dollars. So there is, and dollar has moved up from 75 to 82, 83. It's come down to 80, but still significantly higher over the same period last year. So given that and given the sort of environment we are in, I don't think at this point of time it would be, fair to say that we should expect a drop in prices because if you look at the sort of profit that the companies have sort of will look at in the quarters ahead, and if you look at the contribution margins, they have remained in the fair base. I really think that the accretive to the margins sort of structure is going to only come at the end of the fourth quarter. This is what I've always said, or perhaps even in the first quarter of next year, subject to the fact that the external environment remains where it is right now. There is no further, impact, and there are no further challenges. Yeah.
Rajiv, what one has seen is an intriguingly within the paint space as to how so many new players have now joined the fray. I wanted to understand what is the long-term trajectory that you think for your market share, and where do you see it, going, say, a year, 2 years from here?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question, and it is a fact. The only point, Aisha, is that if you look at over a 10-year period, the players between 1 to 4 have remained pretty much there. Yes, we've got a couple of new players who've done well, added market share, but we've got to look at in terms of structurally where it has moved. Take our case, for example, and I think that's the best way to explain the point. We've taken a long while to really bounce back. If you look at our last quarter, we had a very strong quarter. We would have been one of the fastest players in paints and coatings in terms of growth in India. Now, keeping that in mind, if you really look at, I think the drivers of the business, whether it's distribution, brand, etc., takes time to build. So yes, we are aware that there are some, people are entering in. There are some, conglomerates that are going to enter. It's going to make the attractiveness of that's primarily because of the attractiveness of the sector, but it's going to take a while to really scale up and move to a number one or number two or number three position. It's not easy, as we ourselves have seen over the last, decade. Yeah. So to my mind, look, as far as we are concerned, it is on our radar. It is a part of our strategy that we've sort of looked at. For us right now, we have seen good growths, and our focus is really trying to see how we can grow market share. In terms of where do you see us? Where do I see Akzo Nobel? Look, our endeavor is to start getting and moving first to a number three. I think it's important to build things step by step. So really being a number four player in the paints industry and having positions between 1 and 3 in our coatings industry, I think overall we would like to at some point of time move to number 3, and that will require not just strong organic growth, but even perhaps a double into an inorganic, which at this point of time it may obviously, because of the way markets have gone, etc., and the valuations, it may not be an easy choice. But we will wait for the right opportunity, and we will then craft our sort of play. Suffice to say, Akzo Nobel and Akzo Nobel in India is a very serious player. We are committed. We are committed to making our brand strong and endear to our customers.
But tell me, is peak of the demand for the financial year behind us, Rajiv? Because we're done with the festive season now, and most part of the country are now going to be reeling with extreme cold winter. I don't know of anyone who paints their houses in winter.
So yes, so look, there are parts of the country which have extreme cold winter, but there are many parts of the country which do not have extreme cold winter. So you're right. You've also got to keep in mind that the wedding season, I mean, it's unbelievable that on a couple of, days ahead and months ahead, the number of halls or even hotels available during travel is becoming very difficult. That tells you the amount of festive which is still there, and you just need an occasion to paint a home. So to my mind, to answer your question, do people paint homes during winter? Yes, they do, depending on the occasion. If families move in, etc., they do. But yes, the occasions are a little lower. But that's, you're talking of, primarily some parts of north, particularly where I currently reside, or some parts, of east, where maybe for a month or two there would be a bit of a hiatus. But that's the case every year. Yeah, but look at the rest of the country. I mean, you look at parts of south, parts of west. Look at Mumbai, where all of you are. I don't think that's significantly going to change. So to my mind, structurally, I do think that the paints industry will sort of continue to grow. Now, the rate of growth. Look, the paints industry and the paints and coatings industry grows about 1.5 to 2 times GDP. Yeah, the challenge is, you're right, that the GDP growths are also coming down. However, let's keep in mind, when I sit for this company, which is a global company, and look at the rest of the world, I always feel delighted to be still in India. I think it's a blessing, the fact that India is still growing, and hopefully that structural growth will continue even in a very difficult and challenging time ahead.
Staying with the wedding season, of course. But Rajiv, let's understand the share of industrial segment, because in the overall mix, that's reduced from about 46%, which is what we had seen a few years ago, FY16, to about 35%. Are you looking to reduce the mix further? What's the outlook as well in terms of the industrial paint segment?
So I just want to correct, we had a chemicals business, and that business was about 250 crores, 300 crores, which we sold off in 2018, well before I joined back into this role. And so if you negate that, and look at the contributions, our contributions were around 35 to 37. Nothing has fundamentally changed, really. Now, on the industrial business, look, suffice to say that after many years, for the last 3 or 4 quarters, including what I've seen recently, in the recent months, I think all the businesses are doing well. Whether you talk of marine and protective, whether you talk of, our powder business, we are going to be adding new capacities in the coming years. Yeah. Whether you look at our automotive and specialty coatings, yeah, because we don't have a very big play, for example, in the OEM space. We do it largely in the aftermarket, and look, we've got tie-ups with some of the best brands in the world. Yeah, and I'm not just talking from an F1 perspective, but even in terms of the brands that are available in India. So I do think, and our industrial coatings business, where we've started now getting some good sort of business leads, and we've started growing that business. So I would say that, look, I do still see, and I'm not talking about a month or a quarter odd. Structurally, I do see that there is no reason why we should not be delivering a double-digit growth even going ahead next year.
Rajiv, always a pleasure to have you. And look forward to meet you in person very soon, whenever either I'm in Delhi or you in Mumbai.
Thank you. Look forward. All the very best, Nikunj. Thank you for having me on the show.